at 23 years old, I became a millionaire because I skipped college. I'm sitting in my high school class and a guidance counselor walks in and says, hey, we're doing a survey of people who are going to college. Can everyone in this class raise your hand? Everyone raised their hand, not except for me. My teacher asked me, she's like, what are you gonna do, flip burgers for the rest of your life? And I look at her and the rest of the people and I'm like, you guys have no idea.
I was a popular kid. I was cool within the school, but the minute that I said I wasn't going to college, loser.
I want to prove everyone wrong. I thought to myself, okay, what's the hardest thing I can do? I'm gonna go homeless. I was like completely homeless, like at some points digging through trash cans looking for food.
Really?
That one thing alone took us from like $0 in revenue to like 2 weeks later, like 200 grand a year in revenue.
So 0 to 9 million is 12 months.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Money Buys Happiness. Appreciate you guys tapping in. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. We love it. Guys, we're getting right into it. An episode I'm very excited about because we actually share a pretty similar story. I think you guys are going to get a lot of value from this. Troy Buckholdt, how's it going, brother?
Yeah, appreciate you having me here, Anthony. So yeah, really excited to talk
It's
and
gonna be
share
a good
my
one.
story. And yeah, it is crazy how we were talking right before this. Like we all have very similar backgrounds.
It's funny, every time we do a pod, I go, we do like almost a mini podcast before and we generally do one after. But I want to get straight into it because I want to give people the value, okay? We're going to start off very strong here, okay? You passed on college, you built a business, and you did 9 million in revenue in 1 year.
Yeah.
What did that do for your confidence? That's where I want to start.
Yeah, it was insane, man. So basically at 23 years old, I became a millionaire because
Crazy.
I skipped college. And what skipping college allowed me to do was start a high-paying career at 18 years old, learn some valuable skills. By 19, I saved up 35 grand. Then I was able to use the money I saved, the 35 grand and the skills I built from the job to start a technology company called Course Careers.
Yes.
And then Course Careers went from $0 in revenue to 9 million in revenue in 1 year. So it's like in 12 months, my life went from like nothing to a whole lot of something.
And that was your, like, I want to preface that was your first year of business.
So that wasn't our first year of business. I was working on the business idea for 2 years. I wrote a book.
Okay.
I did some stuff for free for people to prove out the business model, try to get investors. But by the time we made our first dollar, 12 months after that, we were at 9 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay. We're going to get there. I just wanted to put that on the table. Like I mentioned to you off camera, and the audience knows this really well. I think your early life plays a pivotal role in pushing you in the direction of A, becoming an entrepreneur, but B, becoming a successful entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So I want to go back. Who is Troy as a kid? What was his early childhood life like? What was the family life like? Where were you? Walk us through just high level what your upbringing was like.
Yeah, man. So I mean, I grew up in a pretty standard middle class family. So mom stayed at home, dad was working. He was a software engineer. So that kind of exposed me a little bit to the tech industry and coding. Never personally got into coding. I used to play video games a lot.
Yeah.
I guess all through middle school, I was mostly playing video games. Definitely cared more about that than school.
Yeah.
And then going into high school, I started getting that itch, where like I wasn't getting girls. So I wanted to figure out like how do I get girls? Oh, you need to be successful. You need to look good. Started getting into the gym, and then I got that bug in me. It's like, okay, I really want to be successful. I want to figure out a way to get rich. Like my parents, I mean, we never had a whole lot of money because only my dad worked, right? And they definitely didn't spoil me. So, so yeah, that was kind of a fire burning in me trying to figure out how to be successful, how to make money. Started researching different things, trying out different like businesses. Okay. Nothing really ever worked.
But I want to take it back. I want to go a little bit back. You mentioned middle class family. Dad worked, mom didn't. Was money ever like an issue in your household? Like, did you ever notice that there was sort of like maybe arguments or things that were happening within the household just because maybe money wasn't flowing freely, let's say?
Yeah. I mean, at one point, my dad quit his job to try to start a business.
Okay.
And it failed.
Okay.
So for like 2 years, there was no income in the family.
Wow.
So everything was really, really tight. Then he got another job. And I think he lost one job for a little over 6 months. Money
Okay.
got tight again.
Okay.
So it wasn't where, we can't afford food, but it's like we're not going out to restaurants. We're
Yes.
not ordering drinks at restaurants.
Yeah.
It's just as, I guess, bare minimum survival mode as possible for a handful of years.
I asked that question because I find that even for myself, like as a kid, hearing those conversations, whether they were like heated or not, hearing those conversations, I always found that money was sort of the, like if you could get past the stress of money, everything else kind of became a little bit easier. Like you could focus on like the other stresses that you may have in your life, but you can't even get to those if the money's not right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. Like going through a period of time where there was no money coming into the household. Like how did that affect you as a kid? Like seeing that, like, did you notice that you sort of took to those conversations? Because for myself as a kid, I would always find myself listening in on them. Maybe that was good and maybe it wasn't. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. But did that affect you at all? Did you find yourself sort of tapping into those conversations when your parents were having them? Or
I guess for me, the biggest thing that probably impacted me in terms of not having money was I remember when my dad didn't have a job for 2 years. I went on school lunches where they give you free lunches.
Yes.
Remember some kid made fun of me for that. So, yeah, and then that stuck with me. Like I never forgot that moment.
Yeah.
So maybe that's when like it really started. Like, hey, this is. In my family, this is never going to happen.
For sure.
There's always going to be money.
We find that, I find that like you have those little, it's even just like little dumb conversations. Someone says something to you as a kid and like you never let it go. Like it sticks with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you move forward. You're saying like, okay, more into video games, forget school. Like you weren't caring about school at all. And then another key factor was like getting girls.
Yeah.
100, dude, I can relate to that 100%. You thought that was a little bit of a motivating factor of like, hey, maybe this is going to help me in that side of things?
Yeah, I think going into like freshman year of high school, like 14 years old, I was like, I didn't have any girls until that point, and starting to become like top of mind, like number one priority.
It's the first thing now. You went from like video games
to
like, I need to get a fucking girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm looking around school, I'm like, damn, these girls are looking good. Some of my friends have girlfriends and here I am. It's like, okay, well, what can I do? So I started getting really heavy into the gym, like committed every single day, working out 1-2 hours a day, dieting, doing everything perfect. So I got that part of my life figured out, started looking pretty good. But it was still always about like, okay, well, how do I buy a car? Like at some point I'm gonna be 16, right? 2 years and my parents aren't gonna buy me one. So I need to figure that out.
Okay.
I need to have money to be able to go places.
Yes.
So now money became like top priority other than working out and staying healthy.
Did you get a job?
Yeah. So I got a job selling signs for a company. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got a job as a waiter. Just the basic high school jobs, but I was always hustling, trying to figure out ways to make money.
Okay.
No personal business worked at that point. So probably a lot of other high schoolers figure out that like they have an idea, they try to do it, aren't able to get any traction and then give up. That was definitely the case for me.
Those sort of high school jobs, it's funny, we don't put a lot of emphasis on like how important they are. But like for me as a kid, like the minute I turned 16, my parents were like, you need to get a fucking job, dude. Like you need to go to work. And for me, it was grocery store. And then I was selling Levi's jeans. Like I was doing stuff like that. But in the moment, like you're a kid, you hate it. You're like, I hate doing this, like whatever. But I learned, like I look back now and I learned so many things from those jobs. Like A, selling jeans, I learned how to sell. But B, it was like just the fact of like, I understood, the value of $1 because now I was making my own, right? I wasn't getting the little allowance from my parents, $20, $10 here. And then the last thing was just the fact that I had to show up every day. Like there was like somebody, I had to be held accountable. Like there was something for me to do after I went to school, which like I did well, but I didn't give a shit about really. Probably same as you, is like, I needed to go to work after. So it's so important. Like you learn a lot from those years. You don't realize how important they are. So for you, I'm sure being a waiter, probably a lot of like communication that you learned being a waiter. And you said selling signs. Walk us through what does that even mean? Like, what do you mean selling signs? What was that like? I'm proud to say this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Therapy can feel like a big investment, but your mental state is just as important as your physical health. The truth is, traditional therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, and that adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save up to 50% per session on average. You pay a flat fee weekly, and you can join sessions right from your phone or laptop. No commute, no waiting room. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time, no extra cost. Whether you're dealing with stress, anxiety, burnout, or just trying to level up and build better habits, therapy helps. It gives you the tools to handle life's challenges and show up as your best self. BetterHelp has over 30,000 licensed therapists and has helped more than 5 million people around the world. It's therapy that actually fits your lifestyle. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/buyhappiness today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/buyhappiness. Let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, like there was a signage company that, you know, whenever there's like light boxes on top of buildings and restaurants, so going to different businesses, selling those larger signs, selling flyers. So all their like signage and printable material they would buy from the local shop.
So is that like you were door knocking essentially?
On businesses, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, at 16 years old.
I was going to say at 16, that's crazy. You probably, but like from a sales perspective, you probably learned so much from doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. So it's like you have to overcome your fears.
Yes.
Door knocking, going in cold. It's one of the scariest things you'll ever do. But
100%.
It's the complete foundation of every business. Like you have a product and you have to sell it,
yes.
right? I mean, that's it. So,
it's very simple.
Yeah.
But it's like, think about like a 16-year-old going up to, you know, essentially an adult.
Yeah.
And trying to say, hey, this is what I'm selling. This is my service. Hi, I'm introduce myself. Like, where else are you going to learn that skill? School could never teach you that. That's something where you need to just get up, get your ass up and go and do it. Right?
Exactly.
So I love that. Sales is huge. And I had my own version of that in Levi's. I got that from that. Okay. So we continue going on, and we were talking a little bit off camera about this, but we were talking about like, I was telling you my experience with like the guidance counselor that I had, who was trying to push me to go to college. So in your head, in high school, was college always the plan? Like walk us through sort of like your headspace in college and then the decision you ended up making.
Yeah, so I guess going into high school, right, freshman year of high school, I remember the expectation from my parents wasn't like even a decision. You are going to college.
Yes.
That is what's happening. All my friends, like same thing for them. They are going to college. There is no other option as far as what their guidance counselors think, what their teachers think, what their parents think. It's you only go to college.
Yes.
That's it. And I guess I didn't really think about it that much, so I was okay with it at the time. I was on like what's called the math and science pathway, where you're on the default track. At least I grew up in Atlanta to go to Georgia Tech and become an engineer.
Cool.
So I was taking the classes to do that. But then I remember, how old was I? I must have been 16, sophomore year of high school. I remember thinking like, hey, I'm doing really well in school, right? I'm getting pretty much straight A's in some of the most difficult classes. But the thing is, I stopped going to class. I was still addicted to video games. Like I'd play video games, I'd go to the gym, and I'd work. And then, the school was like kind of on the side, but I was still doing really well. Remember, my parents were okay with it. They were signing excuse notes saying I was sick, even though I wasn't. But still getting straight A's. And the way I was doing that was I was using Khan Academy, which is like online courses for math and science and all the like K through 12 subjects. And I was learning so much from, just these like online YouTube videos that it's like I would learn it on YouTube, go take the quiz, take the test, do better than everyone else who sat in class every single day.
Incredible. Really?
Yeah.
How did you even come across that?
So I remember thinking like my teacher in math for algebra sucked. So I just went on YouTube and started searching it up. And I found Khan Academy, just this guy Sal Khan that makes YouTube videos about it. Started watching and it's like, wow, this guy's way better teacher than my teacher. So I was learning way more from him. So then I was, going to school, also learning. take the test, do well. And I was like, well, I'm barely learning anything in class. Like I probably just stay at home and play more video games and just, learn it on YouTube, then show up and take the quiz and take the test and do good. And that's what I did.
Okay.
And
so you did that, but even though you were doing well, like still going through high school, you're like, even leading up to the last, let's say, okay, we call it in Canada grade 11 and grade 12. I don't know, it's probably the same for you guys. Like at what point did you say, okay, I'm not doing this college thing? And what point did you decide that? And what point, and what was that conversation like with your parents? Because I feel like that's always a tough one.
Yeah, so I think the exact like order of operations, how I went from being this really good like straight A student to deciding like there's no way in hell I'm going to college. That was when I was 16 years old. So I remember it started with me like watching these YouTube videos, stopped going to class, started doing really well in school. Then I started seeing videos from like Gary Vaynerchuk. And Patrick Bet-David. They're talking about how you don't need to go to college anymore. Like it doesn't work that well. You spend all this money, you learn everything online anyways. And that really resonated with me because I was already learning online and it was working. Right. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I go on Reddit and I search up like outcomes for people who went to college, like stories of people that went to college. Did it pay off for you? And there's a whole lot of posts on it. And people were, giving their thoughts about what happened to them after going to college. And I started seeing all these stories like 30, 40, 60 grand in debt. Now they work at Starbucks and make $10 an hour. And it's just not like 1 in 10, this is the majority of people responding to this Reddit. They work at Starbucks, they make $10 an hour after getting a 4-year degree.
Insane.
I'm thinking that they went in all this debt and they couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
And now, what happens because of that? And that's the moment I realized that borrowing money to invest in college is no different than borrowing money to invest in the stock market, except
it's true.
It could be much more dangerous because if you borrow money to invest in college, you can't declare bankruptcy.
Yes.
So if it turns out to be a bad investment and it doesn't pay off, the rest of your life is screwed. You're
done.
Take vacations, can't start a business,
Yep.
can't start a family. So it's like this one bad decision to borrow money could really mess up the rest of your life. And once I realized that, and I realized that a lot of people are experiencing that, it's like, I can't risk my life.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, no, I don't believe in college that much to like bet my entire future on it.
Yes.
And my parents weren't going to pay for it, so I would have had to go into quite a bit of debt to afford it.
For sure.
So that's when I clearly decided I'm not going to college.
Okay.
Told my parents that, they didn't believe me.
I was gonna say, I actually want to know what that exact conversation was, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people listening to this, younger gentlemen listening to this, that are thinking of having that conversation, right? And even if it's not that conversation specifically, thinking of having a tough conversation, right? And are kind of nervous of what that's going to look like. So I actually want to know, what was that literally like? Like, walk us through what that conversation was.
Yeah. So I remember, as soon as I decided that, without a doubt, this isn't for me. I can't take this risk. And I'm ambitious, I don't want to waste 4 years of my life either. So I remember telling my parents just like, hey, I decided I'm not going to go to college. But this is when I'm 16, still my sophomore year of high school. So in their mind, they're thinking like, okay, he's just, saying this, he's going to come around. But I think, so they kind of blew it off. But when I turned 17, 18, I kept bringing it up like, hey, look, I'm really not going to college. I'm not going to take the SAT. I'm not going to take the ACT. I'm not going to college.
They're like, uh-oh.
And now they know I'm serious. So
like, holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. And I think they began to accept it. They were worried. They thought I was going to be a loser. They really thought I was going to be a loser. I remember all my friends, they were taking the SAT, ACT, they're going to college. I told them I'm not. They think I'm going to be a loser. Mm-hmm. I remember one very clear moment where I'm sitting in my high school class and a guidance counselor walks in and says, hey, we're doing a survey of people who are going to college. Can everyone in this class raise your hand if you're going? And everyone raised their hand, not except for me.
You're the one person.
Yeah, but then they say, okay, now if you're not going to college, raise your hand. I'm the only person in the entire class who raised their hand, right? And then everyone looks at me like I'm this super dumb person, this loser. And then my teacher asked me, she's like, what are you going to do, flip burgers for the rest of your life? And I look at her and the rest of the people and I'm like, you guys have no idea.
Yeah.
So, at this point, I've read Reddit. I've been watching Gary Vee and Patrick Bet-David. I know what's actually happening in the world, but they obviously don't.
Yep.
And
the thing is, it's tough. I'm always the believer of like you decide your own fate, like, you know, but I can understand how like kids at that age, like in high school, are being fed these, I'll say, blatant lies,
Yeah.
right? From people that they're taught to look up to and respect, like who are mentors, like guidance counselors, like teachers, things like that, who are telling them like, this is the direction you need to go, right? I was telling you off camera, in my personal experience was very similar. I didn't get the whole raise your hand thing, but I didn't need it.
Yeah.
99.99% of the people that I went to school with, not even my friends, just in my classes, for us, it was you're either going to university or college, right? Those were the kind of the split that we had. And it was, I might have been one of maybe 5 people in my whole graduating class that didn't go.
Wow.
So it's also tough for a kid at that age, 17, 18, to be in that small percentile because yeah, you are framed as a loser. Like even for me, like I was a popular kid. Like I was popular, I was cool within the school. But the minute that I said I wasn't going to college, loser, like instant, like, oh, you're going to be flipping burgers, right? Because I came from a very same thing, middle class family. So, you know, I didn't have, it's not like people knew like, oh, his parents run this big business and he's just going to take over. It's like, people were looking at me like, the fuck are you going to do? Right? And I was doing the same thing. I was trying businesses. I was side hustling. I was doing all this stuff. But I had a similar realization because like you, I was also never showing up to class. But I was still getting A's. So I got it. I actually put in applications for universities and I got into all like the University of Toronto's the big one in Toronto. I got into all these big ones, but I turned them down. So for me, my parents were, my ultimatum for anyone listening was, okay, you're not going to school. We're kind of, I'm not going to say upset, but not happy about it. But like, then you have to get a job the day that you leave high school. And so that's what I did. I got a job. And I feel like that's pretty much your similar story.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. I mean, my parents said they were going to cut me off if I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, exactly. Same story.
Yeah.
I got the exact same thing. They said, buddy, you're not getting your $20. You're not getting nothing. And I was like, okay, well, it's time to be a man. Right. But before we step into that part of your story in your life, like, you know, I want to talk about the fact that you did your own research. Like you said, searching Reddit, watching Gary Vee and Patrick Bet-David to try to like find out, you know, your place in the world. Like, what do you think sparked that? Because a lot of kids at that age, 16, 17, 18, like I'll speak for myself, we weren't really trying to figure out life to that extent. Even when I made the decision to not go to school, it was just because I was like, I was lucky. My parents had put some money aside for me and that was going to fund my college experience. But I was like, I don't want you guys to waste your money because I will not show up. Like that was literally what it was for me. So what do you think it was for you? Like what in your head, what made you sort of like take the direction of like, let me look deeper into this, you know?
Yeah. I guess, I mean, it stemmed with like me doing really well with online education, thinking, okay, this whole sitting in a class to learn is outdated. Like I'm doing better just watching YouTube videos.
Yes. Okay.
So that really sparked like, is the college worth it conversation? Then started watching the videos on YouTube with, you know, these major influencers saying it's probably not. And then doing my own research on Reddit, now confirming that. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like your life is in your control. You can't expect other people to watch out for you and do things for you and make decisions for you. Like if you want to be successful, you have to take control of your life. Exactly. So I definitely realized that. So I made the decision for myself that like it isn't smart to go to college. Like if I make the decision to go and it doesn't pan out, I will be in debt and I will be struggling for a long time. Yeah. I won't be able to start a business. And at that point I realized like the way you get rich is you start a business, right? Yes. So I've always, wanted to start a business ever since I was probably 14 years old. Yeah.
And I guess seeing your dad try it, regardless of if it succeeded or failed, like you still had somebody in your life that was, trying to build a business so you could understand sort of the value of it, right? I think that's another key thing where prior to the internet being so prevalent and now all of these like really amazing entrepreneurs like showing, start to finish how they built it and telling the story and whatnot. I think even let's say, I was in high school roughly 10 years ago or so, like that wasn't really a big thing on the internet.
Yeah.
But like now, God bless the internet. I mean, there is definitely some bad parts about it, but there is good parts because those young guys, 16, 17, 18, can see success stories and can hear from guys like Gary Vee and Patrick Bet-David about like, oh, this is what I did to be successful. This is the steps I took. This is where I'm at. And then there's courses and all of these things that weren't really prevalent at that time, right?
Exactly.
So, okay, let's keep the story going. I want to kind of say, okay, you decided not to go. I'm sure graduation was probably a fun experience for you. Everyone talking about, oh, I got into this and I got in there and I got in here. And you're like, well,
I'm working as a waiter.
yeah, exactly. Here I am. Like, okay, so yeah, walk us through like what were the jobs post high school? Like what was your first 12 months like out of high school? And I want to talk about everything from like work, family life, friends. Like walk us through what that first 12 months was like.
Yeah. So I remember after I turned 18, I was working as a waiter. Then I watched another video by Patrick Bet-David, just like how to be successful for young people.
Yeah.
And there's something he said that really, really resonated with me. He said that something you need to get really good at if you want to be successful is doing hard things.
Yes.
So he said, if you're young right now, one of the things you should do is do as hard of things as you possibly can.
It's true.
So the rest of the things you do in life are going to seem easy in comparison. They're going to seem attainable, right? Okay, so I thought to myself, okay, I'm working as this waiter right now. All my friends just graduated high school. I graduated high school too. What's my next move in life, right? I really want to be successful. I want to figure something out. I want to prove everyone wrong.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, okay, what's the hardest thing I can do? And what I came up with was I'm going to go homeless and I'm going to hitchhike from Atlanta to San Francisco, and I'm not going to bring any money with me. Like that's the single hardest thing my 18-year-old brain could think of at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I quit my waiter job, and that's exactly what I did. I walked out of my parents' house with nothing but a backpack, no money, and I set my mind on, okay, I'm gonna make it to San Francisco, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, which is like yeah, it's really, really far.
Okay, hold on. We gotta unpack that for a second. What did your parents say to that?
Oh man, they did not like that one.
I was gonna say, listen, not going to school is one thing. Hey mom, I'm walking out of here with just a knapsack full of clothes. I'm hitchhiking from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia to San Fran. Like, what the hell did they say to you?
Yeah, actually, I guess it was similar to college. So I told them that, right? I said, okay, like in a couple days from now, I think like on a Tuesday or something, I'm leaving to hitchhike to San Francisco with no money. And my mom just blew it off like, yeah, sure.
She's like, yeah, for sure you are.
Yeah, so she didn't think anything of it. I actually did it though. So I walked out.
Okay.
I remember I must have walked like 5 miles or something, right? Got my first hitchhiking ride. That took me all the way from Atlanta to the border of Georgia. Took another ride, made it into Tennessee, into Knoxville. Then my mom comes to me and say, "Hey, where are you?" I said, "I'm in Knoxville."
Come on.
That's when the moment she realized I was serious. Yeah, and she was freaking out a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was the rest of my family was getting calls from my grandma. Hey, what are you doing? Why don't you come back home? And it's like, don't worry, I'm gonna be all right. This is something I just need to do.
Okay.
By the time I get back, I'm gonna have figured things out. I'm gonna be tough. I'm gonna be used to doing hard things.
But okay, hold on. You hitchhiked.
Yeah.
You have to tell me what that experience was like. What would like? Okay, you said you walked 5 miles.
Yeah.
And then, like, just stood on the side of the road, thumb up.
Yeah, walking. I didn't know how to hitchhike. You know,
That's what I'm saying.
There's
Yeah,
no
like,
videos on YouTube about how to hitchhike. At least at the time there weren't. So yeah, I just had a backpack on. Was walking on the side of the road like this. You know, no one hitchhikes. So I bet everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy. Finally, someone pulls over after me walking for like 5 months. Like, hey, where are you going? Like as far towards Tennessee as possible. He's like, well, I'm going to this exit. And it's like, yeah, I'll hop in, take me there.
Well, okay,
And
what was that experience like? Just getting in a car with a stranger.
Man, it's a little scary at first.
For sure.
It's you're not used to it. You hear like horror stories about it.
Yeah.
But after the first handful, I was like, okay, this isn't that bad, you know.
That's crazy. Was he curious about like what the hell you were doing? Like.
Yeah, I mean, I just told him I'm hitchhiking to California. And I guess it sounds a little bit, you know, unbelievable.
For sure.
But yeah. Anyways, I ended up going to Knoxville, then doing more hitchhikes, and some people would give me money along the way. I even panhandled at one point.
Really?
Yeah, I got like $100. I remember I took a ride from the Grand Canyon to Las Vegas.
Okay.
And then I didn't ask for anything. They just said, "Hey, here's $100. Go have fun." I was like, "No
Wow.
way!" So yeah, I went to the buffet of Bellagio.
Nice.
Yeah.
Probably went crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a really fun experience. Had some crazy stories along the way. Made it all the way to San Francisco. Again, this is no money. Like I'm sleeping like behind trash cans and in playgrounds.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to ask, how long did it take you to get from Atlanta, Georgia to San Fran?
So I wasn't in a rush. I would like stop at different places. Like I was in Hot Springs, Arkansas for like a week, just hanging out with homeless people.
Wait, what? Okay.
Yeah, but so it took about 2 months.
Wow.
In total. So I was like completely homeless. You know, like actually like at some points digging through trash cans looking for food, kind of homeless.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, really roughing it. But I made it. So
Was there any moments during that where you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like I gotta call my mom, guys, come pick me up. Like I'm over here.
Yeah. So I remember when I got into LA, you know, I'm so close to that point. I'm in LA. I got really sick. So I must have ate something bad, but I was like barely able to walk, you know, and I can't afford to go to the doctor or anything. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm 18 years old. That's the moment I was questioning, okay, did I make the right decision? It's like, I'm so close though. I'm not going to give up.
Yes.
So I just pushed through and I was able to get a single ride that took me all the way from LA to San Fran.
Incredible.
And yeah. And at that point I knew like, hey, I did this. If I could do this, the single hardest thing I could think of, I can do anything.
Well, bro, that's, pardon my French, fucking crazy. Like that is insane. Okay. Like there had to be periods of time through that process of like you having no food, no water, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I mean,
days?
I got lost in the canyons in Utah and they had to call, like someone found me and they called the ambulance. Like there was some pretty intense stories along the way.
Unbelievable.
But the whole time I kept telling myself, like, I will make it to San Francisco. It's impossible for me not to.
Yes.
You know, it's either make it or I die. Like, that's how serious I was.
Okay, so you get to San Francisco after roughly 2 months.
Yeah.
During that whole process, is your family checking in on you?
Yeah, they're calling me. They had me download a tracker on my phone.
Okay,
So, yeah,
so they knew where the hell you were?
Yeah, at one point, I bought like a raft, like one of those little floaties from Walmart, and I went down the Colorado River.
No way.
Yeah, I couldn't get out. I was in like Grand Junction, I was in Fruita, Colorado, or trying to go to Utah, like Grand Junction, I think. And I remember I couldn't get a ride, so I said, screw this. So I went to Walmart and bought a float.
Incredible.
I just started floating down. I remember there's like bicycle tracks along the side, and everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy. And I didn't realize like there's pretty intense rapids in the Colorado. So, and I'm just like on this like little floaty, no life jacket, like going over like class 3 rapids.
That's insane. Okay, so they're like checking on you. They're like,
yeah, I remember I actually got a call when I was floating down at my mom. She's like, hey, it looks like you're in the Colorado right now. Colorado River right now. Where are you? I was like, well, I am.
Oh, yeah. She's probably like, what did I do to make this kid do this? But you get to San Fran.
Yeah, I get to San Fran.
What do you do from there? Like, was your plan to go there and then go back home? Was it to go there and try to figure something out? Like, what was the idea?
Just so my only goal was throughout all of this was to really get tough. Okay. So I wanted to do the hardest thing I could think of. So I know like no matter what I set my mind on, I will accomplish it. You know, if I can accomplish this, I can accomplish anything.
Yes.
So once I got to San Fran, went to the bank, took money out, bought a flight, bought a Spirit flight, and flew back.
Nice. Okay.
And that was the end of my homeless adventure.
Okay.
But then I got back to Atlanta, and I still don't know what to do. So I feel tough. I feel powerful. I feel like I can do anything. But I don't have a job, so I get my job as a waiter again.
Okay.
And I try to figure out what my next move in life is.
And I'm sure your parents were like, what the hell happened? You probably had stories for days for them.
Yeah. So my parents were they were very concerned about that, but I think once they got back, I think something changed. Like I was a man now. I was independent. Where now, like I did that. Now they don't really have to worry about me anymore.
Fair.
So I stopped getting like the check-ins and like the where are you.
Yes.
Still living at home at that point. Got my job as a waiter. And I remember I was still very set on I need to be successful. I need to make money. I want to be rich. That is my goal right now. That is my goal in life. So I was going to these entrepreneur meetups in Atlanta, like legit entrepreneur meetups where real
Yes.
entrepreneurs go to. Cost like $500 a year to join.
Yep.
And I pay it, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to be around people who have actually done this. I want to learn, what did they do? What should I do? What is their advice?
Yep.
So I remember going to this entrepreneur meetup, and the founder of a company called Rubicon Global was there. It was one of the only tech startups in Atlanta at that time to be valued at over $1 billion.
Wow.
So they just raised like $150 million in venture capital, valued at over $1 billion. The founder's like right there giving a talk in front of like 30 people,
You're probably losing your mind. You're like,
yeah.
okay.
And I'm like, well, this is incredible. That guy's worth like a couple $100 million and he's like right in front of me. So I listened to his talk, and then afterwards I go up and I ask, and I say, hey, look, I'm 18 years old. I want to be a successful entrepreneur. I'm starting from scratch, like seriously nothing. What do you think I should do? Then he tells me, he said, look, there's only two things needed to start a company. You need to build a product or service, and you need to sell it. So either like for a tech company, because that's his background, he said you can go into software engineering, right, to build the product, or you can go into sales to sell the product. I thought to myself, okay, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I went home that day, started researching other successful entrepreneurs. Like, let me see what their background was. And I found like tech companies, backgrounds either software engineering or sales.
Sales. One or the
Almost
other.
always, you know?
Yep.
Then I started researching like plumbing companies and electrical companies, marketing companies. Their background, they first started by working as a plumber. That's how they started their plumbing company. Marketer, they first started by working as a marketer. Then they started their marketing company.
Yes.
It's like, okay, I know what I need to do now.
Yes.
My personality isn't a good fit to be a software engineer, but I want to start a tech company one day because you can get insanely rich with tech companies.
Easily. Yep.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in sales then. I'm gonna go into technology sales. That is my path in life, and the way I'm gonna learn technology sales is I'm gonna get a job in it.
It's very straightforward.
Yeah. Now I had at least a direction in life, because
Yes.
before that I was a piece of driftwood going. I didn't know where to go.
Wherever,
I was
yeah.
completely lost. Now I say that's where I'm going. Just like I said before, I'm going to San Francisco. Now I say I'm getting a job in technology sales. Like
Yes.
I will die on this hill. I will get a job in technology sales.
Okay.
So,
but again,
yeah.
you have ambition. You need to do something, but the most important piece is picking a direction and going. Because
Yeah.
I find that a lot of, and myself included, I went through this same thing, driftwood. I'm over here, I'm over there. Oh, that makes money. That could make me money. And you're just kind of like, you're spinning almost. You're like,
Exactly.
whoa. And then now I even think about like 18-year-olds today who have the internet and have and Instagram and all these things. And they're seeing money being made in so many different ways that it's hard to pick a direction, right? But like you just mentioned, like that for me is the most key point. You have to decide on something, pick your direction, blinders, and get it done. So for you, it was, I'm getting a job in technology sales.
Exactly.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah. There's nothing else. I was focused on, no other goals.
Yes.
And what I've since learned is success, it's a vector. It's both speed and direction.
Yes.
Like it's
exactly.
much better to go slowly in the right direction than just wander around really fast and all these other, like you
agree.
won't get anywhere.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So in the internet, like to your point, I mean, there's so much stuff now about all these different ways to make money and get rich, where it is easy to get distracted and not choose a point for you to completely focus on. Like you only have one goal, and no matter what, you will achieve it.
Well, you're exactly correct. And I find a lot of young guys, and I kind of feel bad for them, is like, they're ambitious. They know they have to do something. And they're like, oh, I'm going to try whatever, drop shipping. I'm going to try this. And they try it for a month, if they're lucky. And then when they're not trying to work or hang out with their friends or whatever, they're on Instagram and they're scrolling and they see this other kid going, I just made $30,000 this month off copywriting. And then he's like, well, fuck drop shipping. I'm going to try this. And they never give it like a solid amount of time, right? Like you're saying, pick one direction and go slow. Everyone wants that speed because we're sold this dream on the internet of like, oh, you can do this and make $10,000 a month in no time, right? And there's this kind of false reality that's being, portrayed on the internet. So again, another, I think that's another key point to your success is you've decided your direction. Like, you have your dial and it's going left, it's going right, it's probably looking everywhere. And then you've picked the direction and I'm going here. So you picked your direction. Walk us through the steps for you to get that job. Because you're saying tech sales, like, I don't know how easy or hard that is.
Yeah.
So like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So I mean, when I set that goal, like no matter what, I will get a tech sales job, because at this point I know like the path for me in life to get rich is starting a tech company. And based on what this guy just told me and my research, like sales is the best route to do that. So I started doing research on the internet, looking at job postings, right? Technology sales job postings.
Yeah.
And looking at hundreds of these. And what I saw was every single one of these job postings says degree required.
Yes.
Some of them said degree preferred. You know, so I'm
yeah.
like, what do they want a degree? Like nothing on here is what they teach in college.
Yes.
Right. So it put me in this catch-22 situation where it's like I need experience or a degree to get the job, but I don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a chicken and egg problem. How do you get it?
Yes.
So what I did is I came up with this hypothesis. I said, okay, after looking at hundreds of job postings for technology sales, like I started seeing all of their qualifications, all their requirements were very similar. So they wanted you to know how to cold call. They wanted you to know how to send cold emails, use different sales software, no different like sales techniques, right? So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of the most common qualifications across all these job postings, right? So I put that in a Google Doc.
Nice.
And then I said, I'm going to go through and I'm going to learn every single one. So what I did is I read every book. I went on YouTube, watched every YouTube video I could find about these different qualifications, right? Learned the software. And then my hypothesis was if, like, say on average, each job posting has 10 qualifications. It's probably somewhere around that. The degree required or preferred is just 1 of 10, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I have 9 of 10
You're
and
good.
I'm just missing the 1, the employer is going to choose to hire me instead of the college graduate who just has the 1 of 10.
Yes.
So that was my hypothesis. Yes, learned everything just for free or low cost on YouTube, Udemy, online courses, books, talked with people working in the industry. And it worked. I mean,
Yeah.
I started applying for companies in like 2 weeks. I landed a job.
Nice.
And
Okay.
these are jobs that like college graduates like want to land. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of aspirational to land these jobs as a recent graduate.
Yes.
It's like, holy shit! I just took a 4-year shortcut in life.
I was just saying, what was that learning? Like, what was the duration of you saying, okay, you built your hypothesis, your Google Doc. These are the 10
Yeah.
things that they're asking for. If I can get 9 of them, I'm good.
Yeah.
Let me learn them. What was that time frame of learning those 9?
It's pretty much exactly 1 month. So like heads down. I quit my waiter job. Probably
Nice.
shouldn't have done that. But
Back to it. Eh?
Yeah.
Your
Quit
parents
my
are like,
waiter
fuck.
job.
Your parents are like, oh my God, again, not again.
Yeah, so 12 hours heads, like seriously, morning to night, heads
Yeah.
down.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm gonna learn every single thing here, and that's all I did every single day for like about exactly a month.
And I'm curious about that. Like, did you have like no balance in life? Like, was there no other things that you like, you know, was video games back to it? Was hanging out with friends? Were any of these things a part of your daily or weekly schedule when you were like, I need to go head down and learn this?
You know, thinking about it, I don't think so. I think I was like that focused. I think
Okay.
after going homeless, like I didn't hang out with my friends for a while, right? Got my waiter job, did that for like another month or 2.
Yeah.
And then I figured this out. Like I wasn't spending much time with friends at that point.
Okay.
And I was so like focused on being successful that I stopped playing video games. So for me, like once I had that realization, I'm going to get a job in tech sales. Like everything in me is going to focus on this.
So yeah, so you were like, because a month to learn those things, I'll say properly,
Yeah.
it's a pretty short period of time.
Yeah.
So you would have had to have been really focused on absolutely nothing else.
Yeah, that was my only thing I was doing morning to night. Yeah, then applied to companies within weeks, landed that job.
Okay.
So landed a job selling like warehouse scanning devices.
Okay.
So basically like any company that owns a warehouse,
Yes.
they need devices to scan the boxes, right? So I got a job where I sell like a new type of scanning device to these warehouses that are a little bit more efficient. My salary was like 50 grand a year, right?
Okay.
But I was coming from making like $12 an hour as a waiter in
Wow,
Atlanta.
you're rich.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like I actually that afforded me to move out. So like
Yeah.
the next
Nice.
month after I got the job, moved to downtown Atlanta.
Okay.
I can pay the bills, right? Every single month, my bank account's getting bigger.
Was there a reason for moving out? Like, did you have something, a sort of idea in your mind of like, when I start making money, I'm moving out right away? Was that always the goal?
It was a goal, and my parents were kind of pushing it in a way, like, time to grow up. You're not going to college, and I knew it too.
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
be the guy that lives with their parents forever.
For sure.
So it's like, okay, it's as soon as I can, I'm going to.
Yes.
So I did, and 50 grand a year. I mean, at that time, I think like that'd probably be like the equivalent of like 70 grand a year now, maybe even more.
Sure.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
You were balling for like an 18, 19-year-old. Yeah.
I mean, I was 18. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, 18 years old, no debt, right? Very few expenses, 50K a year. I can have my own apartment. I can pay all of my expenses, completely no support from my parents at all.
Nice.
Right? Bank account's going up every month. My friends are in college. They're still being supported by the parents.
Yeah.
They can't go out at restaurants. I can.
Yeah.
So,
and they're falling further in debt.
Yeah.
While they're going down while your bank account's going up.
Exactly.
Simple math.
And compared to working as a waiter, like I'm building skills now. I'm building sales skills, which is what I originally wanted. Mm-hmm. I'm getting experience.
Yes.
Like I'm by default on a career path where in the next like 2 to 3 years, I'll pass 100K.
Yeah.
Being a waiter, you're not, you're next year, you're making the same. You didn't learn anything,
Yes.
the year after, same thing.
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm progressing.
Okay.
So I thought that was incredible. Then I took this massive shortcut 4 years ahead. Like my friends that graduate college, like they're going to want to land the same job I just landed at 18.
Yeah, they're going to pray. They're going to pray to land that job.
Yeah, exactly.
Insane. Okay, so how long do you do that? So you move out, you're like kind of, I guess, sort of living the dream for an 18-year-old, making 50K, which again, at that age and at that time, equivalent to 70, 80, you're probably like, this is unbelievable. Zero debt.
Yeah.
Low expenses. What? Your phone bill and rent?
Pretty much it.
Whatever, groceries or the food that you're eating. Other than that, it's like anything else is leisure if you want to do it. And then you say, how long do you do that for?
Yeah.
And then are you working on things in the back end? Like, so I want to start pushing it towards that. So what's going through your mind? How long are you doing the tech sales for?
Yeah. So I was like right when I got the job, went heads down and like, okay, I'm going to be the best like rep ever, right? Uh-huh. Make as much money as I possibly can, learn as much as I can. And within 1 year, I'd saved $35,000. I got promoted to an account executive. Where it's like usually in tech sales, the way it works, your first job, all you do is set appointments.
You're a setter.
Yeah, you're a setter basically for different companies, right? And then someone else comes in and closes. I got promoted to a closer because I was doing so well as the setter. And now I'm making some serious money. Like I started seeing 5-figure commission checks, so over 10 grand.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's like 18, 19 years old. That's pretty incredible.
Probably went crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing money like that drop, and I was saving most of it too. Expenses were still low.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't balling. I mean, I was living probably better than my friends were in college, but not much better. And that's completely fine, saved 35 grand, built these skills. And then I thought to myself, I have a business idea. I bet other people are going to want to do the same thing I did. Like I seriously got a 4-year head start in life. I don't have any debt. Like I'm living a life that I'm sure a lot of people would want to live right now. I'm going to start a technology company, which is what I've always wanted to do, is start a tech company that is going to help other people also skip college and start the same high-paying careers that college graduates wish they could land.
Yes.
With the simple idea of just matching education to job descriptions.
So simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's so simple. But no one did it. I mean, there was at the time I was looking for a solution out there. Like instead of trying to learn it all on my own. Yeah. Okay, does anyone like teach something that could help me land this job without going to college? No, not a single thing existed.
Okay.
Nothing matched what you would learn to what employers want.
Yes.
Crazy.
So, okay, well, this is like, this next portion for me is the ultimate piece to being an entrepreneur and what's so important. Going from ideation to execution. Because there are there's tens of millions of people who have amazing ideas but never get to execution, right? So I want you to walk us through that. So you're making all this money, you've saved 35K. At that point, a lot of people are gonna say, especially at 18, heading into 19, they're gonna say, fuck that, I'm staying here. Give me those 5-figure commission checks. Get me the Mercedes, get me the Rolex. Like I'm balling out. But you're like, I got a business idea. I got something bigger. Okay, you have this idea, but walk us through now that whole process. Idea comes. What are the steps and the phases from idea to actually launching course careers.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's obviously the hardest part where like 90 something % of people fail or
Yes.
give up or never get started, right? So I first had to make the decision, okay, what am I going to do about my job? Am I going to do this on the side and, you know, keep talking to people about it, trying to figure out what I should do? Or am I going to go full time? And I remember, again, on YouTube, I watched a video by this company called Y Combinator, which is like known for successfully investing in a lot of tech startups.
Okay.
And they said that like all successful tech founders they've seen and invested in went full time.
Go all in, yeah.
So I'm going all in, baby. That's who I
let's
am.
go.
I go all in.
I fucking love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
dipping my toes and I'm jumping in.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm gonna have to quit my job. And that was hard too, because I got promoted now. And in sales, you have what's called like a pipeline. So you have all these deals you're working on.
Yes.
That once they close, you get your commission check. I had a bunch that were about to close. I'm like, if I leave this job, I'm leaving like 50 extra grand on the table in commission, you know, on top of what I was already making in base salary and the current commissions.
Yeah.
So it was tough, but yeah, I said, I'm going all in. I'm going to start this company. And I know it's going to be successful because I know other people are going to want to do what I did.
Yeah.
And it worked for me, so I'm very confident it can work for other people.
Uh-huh.
So I quit my job. I'm 19 years old at that point. And then reality hits me like, okay, how the hell do I actually start this thing? Do I incorporate like an LLC? Do I try to raise money?
What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, so I was definitely a little lost. I think I was a few steps ahead where most people were.
Okay.
Because what I learned is that by first working a job, you kind of get the blueprint for how to build that company. So
Yes.
I worked for a tech startup. That was my job, like selling the warehouse devices. So I kind of knew, you know, how tech startups work. I interacted with the other employees who were software engineers.
Yeah.
Right.
You could kind of see the functionality of how the business kind of came together.
Exactly. So like the blueprint for building like a tech startup, I was like kind of exposed to because I worked for one, right? And I think that helped a lot. So what I realized is, okay, the next step I need to do is prove my hypothesis that other people can do what I did, like de-risk my idea, right?
Yes.
So the way I figured out how to do that is, okay, I'm going to create a Google Doc again, and I'm just going to link to all the different resources I personally used to learn tech sales, right?
Okay.
And that's what I did. So it's like this like 3-page Google Doc, like this skill, this resource, this skill, this resource. And then I went on Reddit, like Reddit sales subreddit, and I said, hey, I'm looking to help some people land jobs in technology sales, and it's completely free. All I want to do is help people who don't have a degree or any experience land their first job, and if they do, be a testimonial for me.
Okay.
And I had some people hit me up.
Of course.
Yeah,
It's a free offer. Why
yeah,
not?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
why
want
would
to
you not
personally
take
help
it?
you do this thing. It worked. Like, look at my story. It worked for
Yes.
me. I want to help other people do the same. So a handful of people hit me up. I ended up having 4 people go through my Google Doc.
Okay.
And the way it worked is they'd click the link, they'd learn it. We'd meet every week one-on-one for an hour, review what they learned, practice, make
Cool.
sure they're set up to learn like the next week's worth of material.
Cool.
And then after like 2 months, all 4 people landed jobs in tech sales. No degree, no experience.
That's insane. So you're like,
This works.
yes,
This works,
that's
man.
that's the light bulb, that like the cha-ching moment. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I really have something now.
Yeah, like because a lot of people, I was talking to people about my business idea, right? Like I was even talking to potential investors about it. And like, well, maybe you're the exception. Like this is going to work for everyone. You're special. I'm like, I don't think I'm that special.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So this really proved like anyone could follow this model. And like one of the guys who's working, he's actually in Canada, in
Okay.
Vancouver, working at a shoe store, right? 19 years old, no college degree, no experience, just selling shoes for like $10 an hour.
Crazy.
2 months later, just with a little bit of help, he gets a tech sales job. He's making like 60 grand a year.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. So I got these 4 people to land jobs, and now in my mind, like this thing's gonna work.
Yeah.
You know, a
Has
lot of
legs.
like who doesn't want to make like 50, 60, 70 grand starting on a career path? You can learn it in a month.
Yes.
So like a lot of people are gonna want this thing. So what I did next is, okay, I'm gonna start charging for it. So I create a WordPress like no code website.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. No code, like learning management system to host a course, integrated
Yeah.
payments. Like this is all no code.
Nothing.
No
Yeah, yeah,
dev.
yeah.
Like really kind of half-ass.
Okay.
But you know, that's what you do.
Yeah. Well, because again,
Yeah.
but I want to put emphasis on that. You didn't wait. You didn't say like, I need the perfect platform to launch this thing. You're like, fucking WordPress, throw it up, whatever, and I'm gonna learn as I go. Like,
Exactly.
again, like for any entrepreneur listening to this, someone who wants to head in that direction, execution, speed. You've picked your direction. You said, I'm doing this. And now it's speed, right?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. You didn't wait for it, because perfection is a huge killer of a lot of potential successful, careers, businesses, and whatever the case is. So you said, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
This thing doesn't have to be perfect at all. I'm going to launch it and just like push it forward.
Just do it. Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay. Sorry, continue. I just want to make that point because it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I launched it, just this WordPress website, kind of half-ass. I'm not a designer. I'm not a website creator.
Yeah.
And then after I launched the website, I'm charging $500 for this course that I personally put my head down and recorded for 3 months.
Okay.
So instead of like linking to different resources, I taught it all myself. So it's much better organized,
Yes.
higher quality, everything from like learning the actual skills to create a resume, how to apply to companies, what kind of questions they're going to ask you in the interview, how to overcome their questions, ultimately how to land the job, right? So this is all on this website, selling it for $500. I'm like, okay, how do I get customers for this now, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm a salesperson. I'm not a marketer.
Yeah.
So now my next goal, like the only thing I focus on, and that's, I guess, throughout all of my story, and even right now, it's always been one thing at a time. I don't work sequentially, or I don't work parallel. I work sequentially. I work one after the other. So only one goal at a time until I finish it. Then I move on. So yeah, my next goal is like, how do I get customers for this? And I tried a lot of stuff like running ads, lost a lot of money. I only have 35 grand. Like I basically have, minus my living expenses, at the time. So now I probably have 30 grand in my bank.
Okay.
So I can only make a couple screw ups with spending money on marketing, right? Before I run out of money. So I try running ads, that loses money. I try paying for someone to create a TikTok, that loses money. And then the next thing I do that works is I realize that I can make like job board postings on our website, right?
Okay.
And I would call it like technology sales or like sales development, which is like the insider term for it, training. So now someone searches up like tech sales jobs or sales development jobs, they see this listing that pops up and says, hey, if you don't have these qualifications, but you want to land this job, I'll train you and teach you in it. This course will get you prepared and help you land your first job. Click here to learn more.
Okay.
And the apply button would redirect them to our website.
Okay.
And the way I got those job postings out for free is what I realized is you can like have a job board extension on WordPress or plugin.
Yeah.
Right. Create all these job postings. I create like 10,000 of them.
Sure.
And then you can make it so Google indexes them. So like Google indexes job postings. So if you look up like jobs near me, they'll show them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if anyone looked up technology sales jobs, they would show our job listing across every single city, remote.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just went at that point, you could spread it as far as you wanted.
Exactly.
Any city, any state, it didn't matter.
Yeah. So in that
Canada, you could get Canada if you wanted to.
Yeah, and that one thing. So I mean, before that, like I wasn't making any money, right? I even wrote a book at 19 years old called The Lean Career.
Okay.
Which is all about like the problem and solution. But from that point, when I made my first dollar from those job boards, right? That one thing alone took us from like $0 in revenue to like 2 weeks later, like 200 grand a year in revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, only one thing worked, and boom, now my life changed. Like now I'm not running out of money. Money's going up.
Money's
in the bank.
coming up. Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, this is working. How do I do more of it? So then I find like another job board platform that can like distribute it even further, like on Indeed and LinkedIn and all that, right?
Yes.
Same exact thing, and that works. That like doubles us again to like 400K.
Wow.
And then someone reaches out about promoting us on Instagram, right? Because they saw us, I guess, from one of the job boards.
Yeah.
And I said, sure, whatever. So like we create an affiliate program and give them a link, and they start promoting and start getting sales. I'm like, wow. And they do really well. So they double us again to like 800K.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is all happening really fast.
I was gonna say this is like
in a month.
I was gonna say what a month.
It's probably like a month. We went from like $0, like me worrying about running out of my 30K, to now we're doing like around 800K.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like this is a ride. You know?
What are your like what's going through your mind?
I don't know. So
like how old are you at this point?
So at that point, I must be like, what, 22?
Okay.
So keep in mind, there's that gap between like 19 to 22 where I'm not going to get into it, but I was coming up with ideas, talking with people, you know,
Yeah.
should I start the business? Should I start the business? How do I start the business? What's the exact like way to solve it? You know, and that's where almost everyone would give up.
Yes.
So essentially for over 2 years, I didn't make any progress on the business.
Yeah.
I wrote an entire book, like professionally wrote a book called The Lean Career, which
Crazy.
is about starting a career without college.
Yeah.
And like dissecting the problem of college. So, but then, yeah, once I figured out my direction, right, and I took action, and then once we made our first dollar, it's like, yeah, a month later, we're like 800K. I take that money, I hire a senior engineer.
Yeah.
Now we make the website professional, make the course professional.
Yes.
Take that money and we invested in sponsorships on YouTube and TikTok, right? So now like people are saying they're sponsored by Course Careers. Honestly,
Yes.
if anyone goes on like Google or YouTube and searches in Course Careers, you're going to see so many creators that talk about us.
For sure.
So we're always like the 60-second sponsor if you want to start a career.
Crazy.
And then, yeah, that took us to 9 million from the time we made our first dollar.
Wow.
So that was a crazy ride. Now we had a professional website. We had an engineering team
Yes.
by the end of that.
Yes.
So I've never written a line of code in my life. I don't know how to do it.
Incredible. So
yeah.
so 0 to 9 million is 12 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, we were going so fast. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to set the record for the fastest company to hit 100 million
Yeah,
in
like-
revenue. Just because, like, I mean, I've never heard of anything like it at the time.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What's like your life is changing quickly at that point.
Yeah.
As much as you're focusing on, I'm sure, just the growth of the business and trying to sort of just like manage what the hell is happening in front of you. Like, what's the other side of your life looking like? Like, what's family saying? What's your day to day? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. I guess at that point, I really had no life.
Okay.
So, I mean, when you're, you know, going from having nothing and like for, you know, almost 3 years, that was your only focus is I'm going to figure out how to be successful. I'm going to get this thing started. You know, you're burning cash on your living expenses. You don't have a job. You know, once you finally find success, like you're seeing how fast can this thing go?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
So I was like, everything was so ready just to pedal to the metal, like morning to night. Let's speed this thing up. Let's reinvest the cash. Let's hire people. So yeah, I was pedal to the metal, for a full year. It was a really good run.
Crazy. And by the time you get to not like, I'm trying to understand what the team looked like.
Yeah.
In between $0 to 9 million. What how many employees? Like, who was a part of this?
Yeah. So I think at that point we had like so by the time we hit 9 million, we had a senior engineer, we had a support person, we had a salesperson, maybe we had a marketing person. We had like 4 employees,
Okay.
no investors. So
Crazy.
yeah. So now I own this whole thing. We have a
Yeah.
professional, all custom website. We're like off of WordPress now. So it's full custom code, full custom platform.
Yeah.
Website's done really nice. People are landing jobs. Like a lot of people are landing jobs. And what I realized is every single time they land a job, they tell their friends and family, like, how the hell did you land this job? You know, you shouldn't have been able to land a 70K job.
Yeah.
So then word gets around. Now friends and family enroll. They tell their relatives, other people enroll.
Yeah.
So now we have like this whole flywheel where people are getting jobs. Word is getting around. People are
Yes.
creating social media content. We even had students turn into social media creators themselves. So like after they landed a job in say like IT,
Yeah.
they would make a video on YouTube, like how I got my job in IT. They'd reference Course Careers.
Boom.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah. And then now boom, they've referred 100 people to our company.
That's incredible. Okay. So what year is it that you go from 0 to 9 million?
Oh geez. That must've been right around COVID.
2020, 2021?
Yeah. Somewhere around then.
Okay. And what happens from there? So 0 to 9 million.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure you're on top of the world to some extent.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell did I just do? I own 100% of this company. Is there people coming to you trying to invest? I'm sure investors must be sort of swarming at this point to some extent. Did you take any of that? Like what were your next steps after 9 million?
Yes. So I remember actually before like I had this whole run, I was trying to raise capital. I thought that was like the best stage,
Yeah.
you know, for me. Like as a lot of entrepreneurs, I need money.
Yeah.
I finally convinced one person
Okay.
to put in $100K
Okay.
at $1 million valuation. So essentially $100K for 10%, right?
Yes.
Which is like, this is over a Zoom call, you know? Like,
Yeah, it's
this is
incredible.
some
Yeah.
like, you know, kid without a college degree, doesn't have any experience, doesn't have any connections. Like I'm cold emailing, cold calling people to try to get them to invest.
Okay.
Probably had like 20 investors meetings. None of them went anywhere. They all, you know, it's like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see you, buddy, for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. If it's successful, yeah, maybe we want to invest.
Yeah.
But no, for now. Only one person said yes. And honestly, I wanted more. So I told them no.
Really?
I told them no. Yeah, I
Wow.
really needed the 100 grand, but I told them no. I thought like this is going to become big someday, and that 10% is going to be a lot of money.
For sure.
So
And
yeah,
it was.
Yeah, I wanted like a $10 million valuation. Yeah, before I had anything.
Before anything, he's like, yeah, okay, buddy, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So they were like, yeah, screw off, and I was like, okay, yeah.
So you wrote that up. So you took no investment at all.
Still have zero investors.
Still to this day.
Yeah. So I own almost all the company. I have some employees that own a handful of the company.
Sure.
But yeah, it's been a great run. So after hitting the 9 million, kept reinvesting the cash.
Yeah.
So reinvested more employees, better platform, more careers. So we expanded from only teaching technology sales to teaching like IT. Then we taught
Yes.
human resources, software engineering, data analytics.
Yeah.
And now we teach like a ton of different careers, like construction, supply chain, trades, all this stuff.
So what's the vision for Course Careers moving forward? Like what's your ultimate goal? Because you seem to be the kind of guy that picks his goal and goes for it. So do you have an ultimate goal for Course Careers?
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep pressing on that gas, see how fast this thing can go. You know,
Yeah.
that's what excites me. I wake up every day. I love what I do. I
Yes.
really care about what I do. I mean, I get messages on LinkedIn like every day of people saying, "Hey, I landed this job. Thank you for creating this thing. It changed my life."
Wow.
You know, I know they wouldn't have been able to do it without Course Careers because we
Yes.
still don't have any like what I would consider legit competitors
For sure.
that, you know, would provide as good of a solution as us to starting careers. It's like, yeah, you know, what I created really did affect this person's life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like you're actually helping people. Like there's real value in what you're doing. And like I checked the price points, $500.
Exactly. Yeah, we only charge like you could reliably start a career for $500, and you can reliably outcompete college graduates. So it's like
It's
and you
incredible.
can do it in like 1 to 6 months. You know.
But this is why when I was looking at the platform, like I was almost like, he might be undercharging. Like this is like the value you're getting here. But I think that's a big reason for the success of the company, right? Is because you're literally like saying, look, we're charging I would say it's criminally fair price to learn a skill that, like you said, a college may or may not even teach you in 4 years and put you 60, 70, 80, 90 grand in debt, right?
Yeah.
So it's incredible. I think what you're doing is incredible. And, you know, I'm curious, is there, so foot on the gas, see how far we can take this thing. Do you have like a number or some sort of thing where you go, I would exit at this point?
So, you know, I thought about that. And so we're in the education and employment market.
Yeah.
So the US alone, the higher education industry generates over 900 billion annually in revenue.
Crazy.
Now, for comparison, the oil and gas industry generates a little over 300 billion.
Yes.
So we're saying like the college industry is 3 times larger than oil and gas. And that's why there's so much propaganda. Like they have all this money to keep the idea flowing that you need to go to college to be successful.
Yes.
And I'm here fighting back. You know, all
Wow.
of the money we've been making so far, I've been investing and spreading the message you don't need to go to college, investing in the courses and technology to help people not go to college. We even have a network of employers that hire directly from us. So people who don't go to college, these employers value your education
Wow.
and they want to hire you.
So if somebody, okay, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, that statistic of 900 billion
Yeah.
from the education in comparison to 300 in oil is incredible. No idea. So they must hate you. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, so you have a network of employers that work directly with you guys at Course Careers that will employ your students.
Yeah. So for some of our courses, like technology sales, when we were really on the run up, we had companies like Dun & Bradstreet.
Yeah.
They're trying to hire over 100 of our graduates.
Wow.
Like they weren't going, you know how like college, they have career fairs, right?
Yes.
Or like hopefully you have employers that want to hire these graduates, they go to the career fairs. Like we essentially had that for our courses. Like college was completely cut out of the chain, right?
Oh my God,
So like to land some of these jobs, like they were only looking at people who already had the training that perfectly matched what they were looking for.
Yes.
And we're the only platform that had it. So it's,
Wow.
yeah, it provides a whole lot of value for the student and the employer.
I'm actually curious about having any pushback. Have you guys had any pushback, let's say either from universities or the education system or any of that, or even just students? Because I find that the course selling business is also, it can be pretty sketchy, right? Especially when there's guys, even in this beautiful city that we're in, that are trying to sell you courses for 10, 15, 20, 30K. And then, you know, you hear the horror stories after, like, I didn't learn anything. It was bullshit, whatever. Have you guys had any pushback from either side?
So, I mean, at this point, if you Google Course Careers reviews, we have over 1,500 reviews. Average rating is 4.9 out of 5 stars.
Wow.
We have a 2-week, no questions asked refund period. So it's like, if anyone did enroll, right, and let's say they're like, oh, this thing sucks, I'm not learning anything, get all of your money back within 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that makes it so we have a lot more good reviews.
Sure.
Because anyone who, for whatever reason, they aren't happy, they just get a refund. Even if they decide, like, I just don't want to do this thing anymore, get a refund.
But I think you have so much success that it's really hard to have any pushback. Like even if someone decides to enroll and wants their money back, it's probably because they just didn't want to put the work in.
That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
It's really, oh, this is going to take too much time, too much effort. In which case, to take your money back.
Please.
As long as it's within 14 days, just take your money back.
Yes.
Please don't leave a bad review.
Yes.
But then we have all these other people who are going through, putting in the work. They land jobs. They tell friends and family. We record testimonials. They go on YouTube. Sometimes they'll make their own video or they'll talk about it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Word gets around.
Yeah.
So now we're the ones, funding this marketing program that's teaching people you don't need to go to college to start a career in IT. You don't need to go to college to start a career in marketing, start a career in tech sales. We just signed an instructor to teach medical device sales yesterday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So now we're teaching medical device sales. We teach construction, project management, construction estimating. We teach all the trades.
How many courses do you guys have there?
Oh man, I don't even know if I can keep count. So we have a whole team now that's just in charge of doing research on which careers have a skills gap.
Yes.
It's like where there is a need for talent and where our course would be a good fit to teach the skills employers look for.
Cool.
So
you guys are taking over, man.
We're expanding fast, man.
Wow.
Simultaneous expansion across all careers.
Okay, so give us the pitch. If I'm a 18-year-old, I decide I'm not going to college, or I might be in that phase of like, I don't know if I want to go, but I know I want something bigger for myself. I know I want, to come out and start making money right away out of school or very shortly after. Why Course Careers? What's it going to do for me?
I mean, so I created this company to solve my personal problem, which is wanting to start a career without college, without going into debt, right? So at its core, like it's always been like no fluff, straight to the point, as affordable, low cost as we can get it, and perfectly aligned with what employers want, so you could land the job as fast as possible. So I guess the other alternative it's the option that I took, which is self-education. Like you can figure out what employers want from job listings. You can compile your own list like in a Google Doc, and you can go to YouTube, read books, take like even cheaper like online courses, $20 Udemy courses, and try to piece everything together. That is an option, and that does work. So I'd say like that self-taught option, Course Careers, but college is just such a bad option to start. I don't even want to list it because you like right now you can't get a business degree and land a tech sales job, for example. Yeah, it's just too competitive. But true. You can go through Course Careers, be 18 years old, and land a tech. So it's just our outcomes are better. The only other option than us is really like the self-taught route. I guess and the self-taught route like involves maybe piecing together like Coursera, Udemy courses. I don't think we have any legit competitors though. Yeah. So I welcome them. I mean,
No, listen, and it makes sense. Like at the end of the day, and for any 18-year-olds or younger guys listening to this, and even if you're out of college and you're at a point in your life where you're just trying to figure it out and you want to find something stable and real, I think what you're doing is great, because a lot of the skills that I learned building my businesses were all self-taught. Same thing. I never went to school. but I had to spend a lot of time and energy piecing things together. So you make the perfect point. Udemy courses, YouTube, following this guy, following that guy, looking this up, looking that up, Reddit, all these different things. So I went through that as well. And if for the path that I went down, if someone told me $500 and I'm going to give you all of those resources, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Because even if you're working minimum wage, what's $500? Like maybe your bi-weekly payment, you're probably living at home, like spend your 2 weeks worth of pay for me to give you everything top to bottom, all of the resources, and now like reproduced and well put together via you actually explaining them. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
And I'm not even the instructor anymore. So I replaced myself for technology sales with someone who I think is even better than me.
Nice.
So they make like $300,000 in tech sales, like the most senior account executive. They've been doing this their whole life.
Cool.
It's like all of our.
So you really invested in like top quality instructors.
As good as we can get.
Nice.
So I mean, I don't think there's anyone who's better, and I think that's why we've grown so fast.
It's funny. I think this podcast is going to be a mixture of people joining course crews and then people trying to think like, how can I compete with these guys? There might be both of them because it's too impressive.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not opposed to competitors. That's why like I put all this out there, like how I got started, what initially worked for us.
Yeah.
Because what I really care about is I care about like honestly taking down the college system. I think they're doing a big injustice. I think they put the U.S. into a ton of debt. Like people aren't learning what employers want. They're not even creating value for society. So it's essentially 4 years of complete waste. Then after that, you have debt and nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to change this entire system. I think Course Careers is doing a lot for that. I mean, I'd like to see other companies also, you know, help.
For sure.
So,
and listen, and I mean, first of all, what you're doing is incredible. And on the other side of it, when you're saying in terms of you welcome competition, I mean, that's also, I know you're a real entrepreneur because we love that. Yeah. We love when there's competition because it's going to push you harder, right? It's going to push the team harder to grow and grow and grow. So, no, that's incredible. Listen, we got some rapid fire because we have our famous question, but I wanted to go through some rapid fire. I think it'd be pretty cool to do. Just some cool questions we want to ask here. Okay, you ready for it?
Yep.
What's the biggest lie young people are being told right now?
So other than the college propaganda, I think too many like fake gurus on social media are pushing like courses to start a business when in reality, like most people aren't in a position to start a business when you have nothing.
Yeah.
Jobs are probably your best option. Like get a job, use the skills and money to then start a business. So I think that's probably the biggest lie.
Okay. What do most 18 to 24-year-olds get wrong about money?
They don't start investing young enough. Compound interest is like key to growth. I mean, if you invest like $100,000 when you're 20 years old, if you're able to save it up in the S&P 500, just not even touch it, I mean, you make millions by the time you retire.
Facts. What do you think? Why do you think most people never get rich?
So what I learned again from a YouTube video when I was young is someone said like the way to get rich or the way you know you're going to get rich is if you want it bad enough because you will figure out the steps to take, the things to do to ultimately achieve it. All you have to know is if you want it bad enough, you will achieve it. That is very much the case. So for everyone listening, like if you really, really want to get rich, you will figure it out. And yeah, you will get rich. And if you don't want it bad enough, trust me, you won't get rich.
You won't. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. Okay, if you lost it all today, what would be your next move?
You know, I think I'd probably start to get another job in tech sales. So I mean, if I lost all of my money, like, and I need to afford rent, probably get a job in tech sales while I figure out my next move in life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd probably do the same thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think the education system will collapse or adapt?
So I'm probably the most well-researched person on this. Like I wrote a book on it.
Yeah.
Very confident it will collapse. Like there is no advantage to having 4,000 universities all across like the US.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have one platform, like there's not 10,000 Googles, you know, there's not 10,000 Amazons.
True.
Like there is one tech company that will capture the entire education market. That's my belief.
Okay. Would you rather be rich or famous?
Rich. So, I mean, if you're famous, you can't walk in the streets of Miami without being annoyed your whole life.
It's true. Okay, what was your first big purchase after you hit $1 million?
I've been pretty conservative with spending. Like out of all of the money I've made, I've spent less than 1% personally.
Wow.
Yes, and over 99% has been reinvested.
Incredible.
Yeah, but I bought a boat.
Nice. Nice.
Like guilty pleasure, right? So
Yeah.
I bought a fishing boat. I live in Cancun, Mexico, so it's like best waters in the world. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't have a boat, so I bought one.
Nice. I'm gonna have to come on it there. Okay. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
Worst advice to ever receive. So when I was first starting course careers, I talked to an investor, right? And you think these people are really smart. They went to Ivy League universities and all that.
Yeah.
Like they should know what they're talking about. He told me my potential market share, the total addressable market was too small. Too small. This is the entire US.
Yeah.
What?
350 million people.
Yeah, what? So yeah, I think what I learned from that is don't inflate other people. Like don't think just because of their status or their job or their background that they know what they're talking about. Like most people have no clue. So be very careful with the advice you receive.
Okay, and what's the best advice you've ever received?
Probably that Rubicon Global founder, like Nate
Yeah.
Morris. I mean, told me like sales or product development, or like if it's a service-based business, like doing that service to start the company.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very, very true. I mean, as far as all of my research, my personal experience, everything I've seen, like the best way to start a business is either be able to create the product or service and then like sell it, which is really sales or marketing skills.
Yes.
Like if you want to get rich, and the best way I think to get rich is starting a business, like you need to get one of those skills.
One
and
or the
then
other.
the best way to get those skills is just get a job to get paid to learn it.
We gotta, hopefully he hears this, because that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Biggest money mistake you've ever made?
This is a funny one. So all that money I was making when we were going 0 to 9 million, I kept it all in a bank called Silicon Valley Bank. All of our money, all my personal money too, like every single penny we had was in that bank. And I don't watch the news. So I remember I got a call from my mom saying Silicon Valley Bank just went under. Like, what are you talking about? You know, it's like 100 billion in assets. This bank didn't go under. I start researching. I was like, what? I try to withdraw my money. It won't withdraw.
Oh my God.
That was the worst weekend of my life.
Wow.
So yeah, I thought I lost like millions of dollars. Everything. I went from nothing, this is everything I've ever made. So I learned after that, never keep your money in one bank. Be careful.
At that point, you're probably thinking, I'm going back to tech sales. I'm going back to tech sales.
Yeah, that was a scary moment.
Okay, one job you think will disappear in 10 years?
So I think disappear is probably going to be because of AI, or at least like get severely hurt. I think anything to do with research, like market research, business analyst, data analyst. Like you don't need people doing all this research and analysts. We can just ask AI a question. Like right now, analyzing all of our data, we don't hire data analysts. We use AI. We say, is this up or down? How does this compare to this? And it tells us the answer. Like you don't need to tell another human to research this, then have them put a chart together, and then you look at the chart. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
AI is coming fast. Okay, those are our rapid fires. Listen, we always have a famous question, but before we get to it, I want to, on the show, we've been doing this thing where we ask our guests to manifest something for themselves.
Yeah.
It could be a 1-year thing, 5-year thing, 10-year thing. So I want you to be as specific as possible because we would love to come back to it when it comes to fruition. So manifest something for yourself, Troy, for the business, for the next, let's say, 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I think there's always been this fire in me, a little bit of, I guess, maybe a little bit of a dark side, where I want to see the college system go down. And I think there's truly an injustice happening right now. The taxpayers, the federal government, gives $170 billion every year to the college system in the U.S.
Wow.
I want to see that wiped.
Wow.
So I don't think they should give a penny. If college is truly a good investment, it should stand on its own.
Facts.
And people should invest their own money, and they should get a return on investment. And they'll do it if it's a good investment. If it's not, then you shouldn't be using taxpayer money just to let it go poof. So I want to see all funding for colleges be cut off, and I want to be a key part of the reason why that happens.
Hell yeah. Damn. I want to see that too, bro. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. I'm a big believer in that. Okay. And of course, Troy, we are the MBH podcast, Money Buys Happiness. So You've seen the bottom, literally,
Yeah.
and you've seen the top. So I'm curious, Troy, if you believe money buys happiness.
Well, I was happy when I was homeless,
Okay.
but I'm happier now.
Stamp it. Let's go.
Yeah, so I think money helps by happiness. I think it'd be very hard to be truly happy if you don't have any money.
Yeah.
But I also think money alone isn't gonna make you happy.
Yeah.
So I guess in one phrase, I would say money helps by happiness.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So we don't have to change the name of the podcast just yet. No, and it's funny. I always say this, and I always kind of ended off with this from the almost 300 people that I've interviewed. What I've come up with is it's A, how you make your money. Do you enjoy what you do? And then B, it's what you do with your money, right? And I think if you have those two things down packed, then it can definitely set you in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
For sure. Troy, it's been a pleasure, man. What a conversation. What a story, dude. I'm sure we'll have some more stuff to talk about. But guys, if you made it this far, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Course Careers will have all of their info in the description. I know a lot of you guys would probably get a ton of value. At least check them out. Click the link, take a look. Troy, brother, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it, Anthony.